Right now, Pittsburgh's best sports show is about to begin. Call us or tweet us. We've got things to talk about on the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call.
All right, Josh, thanks very much. Good evening, everyone, and welcome inside the Fan Cave. A very busy day for those of us who work in the sports field, as it was the first day of legal tampering, and that means you can legally tamper, which essentially means it's the first day of free agency, and they can't announce anything officially till Wednesday. Bob Pompeani here at 412-575-2600. Andrew Fillipponi's up at 93.7 The Fan. Very busy day on a lot of different fronts, but I want to just throw this out at the beginning just to get it out there. Paul Skeens was outstanding tonight in the World Baseball Classic against Mexico. 4 scoreless innings, 1 hit, 7 strikeouts. Got some nice defense behind him from Bobby Witt, if you care about that. I know the big topic of the day is football. And let's talk about what the Steelers did and what they didn't do. They lost Sayamalu. We learned that later in the day. 3 years, $31 million to Arizona. They're going to need a left tackle. For all we know, they may need, or a left guard, they may need a left tackle, depending on Broderick Jones as well. They got a nice running back in Rico Dowdle. I think Jamil Dean's a pretty good player as well at that price. Your overall thoughts, and of course the trade of Michael Pitman. What did you think about their day so far?
Well, they plugged their biggest hole, which for 3 years has been wide receiver 2. Last 2 years and now this offseason, the third year, they finally do it. They get a guy that has been a number 1 wide receiver for most of his career, and now he slots into probably a more suitable role and a better fit, Bob, for his, at this point in his career, as a guy that's going to be in his late 20s. The contract extension isn't crazy. It's going to pay him less than $20 million. That's right in line with what wide receiver 2s get in second contracts or third contracts in this case. So I think it's a big move. Now they've got 2 really large-bodied, athletic, in DK Metcalf's case, and in Pittman's case, more of a possession receiver to make plays and make defenses think about how they're going to schematically line up against the Steelers. You can't put all your eggs in the defending DK Metcalf basket anymore, which is going to make him better and is going to allow for both guys to put up numbers in 2026, provided they get their quarterback situation resolved. So to get him for pretty much nothing, where it's a late-round swap, I think that was a big move by Omar Khan. Jamel Dean gives you a guy that last year had great numbers, only gave up 1 touchdown in the last 2 years. Completion percentage was in the 40s against him. Passer rating was extremely low. So to get him at that price, I think, was a really good deal. And we'll see with Dowdle. I tend to think running backs grow on trees. And we're talking about a guy that's on his 3rd team in 3 years. And I don't really like paying running backs in their late 20s. I know it's not a lot of money. But to me, because it was pretty much equal, I would have brought Gainwell back instead of Dowdle, Bob. I would have brought my MVP back at pretty much the same price.
Yeah, $7 million a year for him, 6.5 or whatever for Dowdle. But yeah, I really thought he earned that, and his passing game prowess was outstanding with 73 catches for Kenneth Gainwell. He's going to have a role down there in Tampa Bay, and I'm sure they'll utilize it. It was interesting that Pittman became available because Alec Pierce got up. And I thought he was going to move teams. He didn't. Indianapolis kept him at 4 years, $116 million. He is a very good down-the-field pass receiver, but I thought that was an overpay for them at that point. And they were up against the cap even begin this day. So once that happened, you knew that Pittman may be available.
Well, they paid Daniel Jones, too, on that transition tag, and that's almost $40 million a year for a guy that's coming off a bad injury and didn't even make it through the season, and they collapsed after that. I mean, you could have made an argument, Bob, that the Colts would have been better off letting Jones walk because of the injury and signing Tua or Kyler Murray for the league minimum and keeping Pittman and Pierce and having better weapons for their quarterback. I really think that would have made more sense to them than giving Daniel Jones as much money as they did and having questions about what he's going to look like after another lower body injury. That was an Achilles injury for him, and he's a very athletic quarterback. So we'll see what happens there. Not really the Steelers' issue. They're not in the same division as them. And I think the Steelers made themselves better today. I mean, I don't think a ton better. I don't think better to the point where I would pick them to repeat as division champs. But I like what they're doing big picture with the team. Whether it's Aaron Rodgers or Will Howard, you need weapons for your next quarterback to fairly evaluate him, and they got a guy that's going to help them do that.
And to your point, the Ravens lost a lot of guys today, including Tyler Linderbaum, who's a 3-time Pro Bowler, only 25 years of age. He goes to the Raiders for 3 years, $81 million.
And, to me, those moves, both Linderbaum and what some of these edge rushers like Owe got today, I mean, what is Nick Herbig going to get in free agency when he becomes, he's not going to get signed, I don't think, by the Steelers this offseason. Why would he? With Highsmith and Watt blocking him, he's probably got to be thinking to himself, I don't even need big numbers. As long as I do a good job when I'm out there, someone's going to pay me a ton of money in free agency the next year. And the same thing with Frazier now looking at Linderbaum. I mean, the Steelers, I think, have a very good center. Now, thankfully, he's not up for a new contract yet, but when he is, Bob, I mean, the Linderbaum contract is going to be the standard that all the good centers compare it to and say, give me that money now.
That's how it works.
Things to think about down the road with these young Steelers who have up-and-coming careers.
Other moves today, Kenneth Walker goes to Kansas City, 3 years, $45 million. He's only 25. He has a lot to offer in Kansas City. They're looking for somebody like him. Malik Willis is gone. Hold on. We got to go to a break. I just want to throw these out real quick, and then we'll come back and talk. Malik Willis goes out there with Miami after they released Tua Tagovailoa, and he ends up signing with Atlanta. They got 2 lefty quarterbacks. We'll want your opinions. We'll get more from Andrew when we take this break right here on the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call. We're live on KDKA Plus and 93.7 The Fan. All right, this is our Xfinity tweet of the night from Warren Sharp. These are all the quarterbacks that Michael Pitman has had in the NFL, 12 of them over the years, and yet, as I told you at the beginning, he's put up some consistent numbers every single year, and yet look at this list with Wentz and Jacob Eason. The list goes on. Matt Ryan, Foles, Richardson, Minshew, Richardson again. It's incredible what he's done. So that leads us to this, Andrew. You have a quarterback situation still here. I think it's fait accompli. It looks like Rodgers, but Kyler Murray is still out there. He's the one quarterback who did not get any takers yet so far. He only cost $1.3 million. I agree with what you said about Indy, that they would have been better off probably doing it that way. Would the Steelers have any interest, or should they, in this guy?
So, I mean, just think about this for a second. I think it's very strange that we got no news on the Vikings today. Nothing with Kyler Murray, even though a lot of insiders thought that was pretty much a done deal, and zero reporting on Aaron Rodgers. Is it possible that Minnesota's been in contact with Rodgers? I don't think it's out of the question. If the Steelers are unwilling to put a contract on the table, maybe Minnesota is. And that either forces the Steelers to do something, or maybe Rodgers takes that deal. I don't know. I just thought it was weird that Tua got a deal done so fast when there's no money to haggle over because it's league minimum, and the same thing's true of Murray. And if Minnesota was 100% going to sign Murray, I would have thought it happened today. It didn't. And we heard nothing on Rodgers, which I think is kind of funny. So who knows what's going on? You never know with Aaron Rodgers, but I just thought that was peculiar that the one other potential landing spot for Rodgers, which is Minnesota, didn't do anything today, Bob. So maybe they're waiting, and maybe Rodgers is reconsidering or thinking about what his best option is right now.
And it made me wonder as well about what's happening, why there was no news on any of those fronts. But we'll see day 2 tomorrow before they make everything official on Wednesday. We have a lot of phone calls at 412-575-2600, beginning with David in Pittsburgh, who's our number one Cochran Go One Better caller of the night. Hello, David. David, don't listen to your television, please. Go ahead.
Yes,
I think that's you talking, Bob.
I just wanted to say that I think Gainwell leaving Pittsburgh is an indictment of the lack of quarterback satisfaction on his part. I think it was a gross mistake to let that guy go. You don't let the most valuable player on your team go and get another running back. I thought that guy was terrific, and I think it was a huge mistake to let him go.
And the Steelers have never let an MVP of their team go the very next year, but they did. And keep in mind what he meant to the passing game. He was
one time, I think.
Well,
Neil O'Donnell in '95.
Okay, well, that was a money thing that, they. Bottom line is normally these guys stick around. And you would have thought that after the year he had, a breakout season like that they would have been appreciated. They were the ones who saw potential in him to take him away from Philadelphia. And yet he was looking for money. I don't blame him for that. But I agree. I would have kept him there instead of bringing in Dowdle. And now I wonder about Caleb Johnson, because we keep hearing, now this could be back-to-back third-round picks that are going to go for naught, or at least 2 of the last 3. And when you have a guy like Johnson, you would expect him to get some play here at some point. When you bring in Dowdle and you have Warren, I don't think he will. And then Roman Wilson's another one. Where's he? I assume they're going to draft another wide receiver. So these are third-round picks that I had bigger expectations for.
Well, I think Roman Wilson right now is a better shot than Caleb Johnson. I mean, this is going to be, look at the money you just spent on wide receivers. And if Aaron Rodgers comes back, this is going to be a pass-first offense. Okay, so that's going to mean fewer opportunities in the run game, and it's going to go to your 1-2 running backs, Dowdle and Warren. So I think Caleb Johnson is pretty much the odd man out again as a third-round pick, and running backs are usually guys who play early and play often as rookie, second-year players. Wilson is more interesting because Calvin Austin is unsigned. I don't know if the Steelers are going to sign another wide receiver, and I guess it depends on what else happens in free agency. It's possible that maybe that first-round pick, 21, Bob, is a guard or somebody like that. And if it is, well, then maybe that gives Roman Wilson a shot to be like their slot receiver and number 3 guy. And with pressure off and with 2 better targets around him, with a new coaching staff, maybe that does pave the way for him to be a more effective player. But I definitely think that the biggest loser for the Steelers in free agency today is by far Caleb Johnson, who's been blocked now by not just Jaylen Warren, but a guy that Mike McCarthy loved in Dallas, and they're giving more than $6 million a year to.
Yeah, it's funny how some coaches, they have, teachers' pets, guys they've coached, they're going to bring them in. We saw that with Arthur Smith.
Jonnu Smith for Arthur Smith. Exactly, Bob.
Exactly. So it's the same kind of thing. All right, back to the lines we go. Mike in Evans City, you're up next. Hello, Mike.
Hey, Bob and Pony. You guys were talking earlier, and I kind of picked this up on ESPN. Something about Kyler Murray's contract. Like, when you talk about the legal tampering, I don't think he could be talked to till after 4 o'clock on Wednesday. You could check.
Yes,
me
he
on
can.
Same
thing with
Tua. Why do you think we had all these deals
Tua got
today?
talked to. Tua got a deal done.
We got all
Tua
these deals done. You can do whatever you want. It's called legal tampering. That's what they call it. So therefore, it's legal to do it. I just think there's confusion about what team would like. I thought for sure that he would end up in Miami. They end up going with Willis instead, and we'll see about that. What did you think of that contract, by the way? 3 years, $67.5 plus $45 million guaranteed for Willis.
Yeah, I mean, I would not have done it.
I wouldn't
It's
have
a
done
lot
it
of
either.
money for a guy that's barely played.
Right.
When he was playing late in the year and was effective, I thought he was a potential Steelers starting quarterback for this year because we know Mike Tomlin liked him, and I thought they could get him for, borderline backup quarterback money. But, it's definitely starter money, not high-end starter money, but still starter money. And $40 million of it is guaranteed. So he could be a complete flop. And the Dolphins are still on the hook for more money, and they're on the hook for a lot of money. With Minka gone now, with Jalen Ramsey they're paying dead money to, Tyreek Hill. You throw on top of that, Tua's dead money hit over 2 years is almost $100 million. So, And what's left for him, Bob? I mean, that's not really a situation for Malik Willis to be. Right. Jalen Waddle, they've torn down the team. They're expected to be maybe the worst team in football this year. Yeah, I don't see Malik Willis thriving there whatsoever.
All right, Ted in Pittsburgh is our next caller. Ted, welcome to the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call. Go right ahead.
Good evening, gentlemen. I wanted to talk to you about local boy DeMar Hamlin, safety. His contract's up where he is. He'd like to be a Steeler, and he'd like to be a Steeler for the rest of his life.
I just don't think there's a fit here, Ted. Probably now this means Ramsey moves to safety or slot. He may be more effective in the slot. I don't know exactly what their preference is with him. And you got Deshaun Elliott coming back. I don't think there's room for him, quite frankly, although I still think in the draft they may address that just for down the road reasons, Andrew.
I actually think there is more of a spot for him as a safety that does the Miles Killebrew role. That's a special teams guy and a backup. I think that they're going to have to find another backup safety. All those guys like Chuck Clark and Kyle Duggar are free agents. So I agree with you in terms of the starters. I think right now you've got Ramsey at one spot and Elliott at the other. But they're going to have to find bodies behind those two guys. And, if not Hamlin, I think they're going to find somebody else who's kind of a dude on his second contract who comes in as a backup and can play special teams behind those two guys. And I think DeMar would play special teams. He did in Buffalo and wouldn't cost a lot of money. I don't know how he did last year in Buffalo. I didn't see him out there. He got hurt, didn't play much. So it's just a matter of where he's at in his career in terms of what the Steelers think he has left.
There are still a lot of unsigned guys. I think at the top of the list would be Trey Hendrickson. He's a guy who, You know, they did not franchise him in Cincinnati. He's still a guy who's young enough to make an impact on what he did. And when we last saw him, he was a pretty good player in Cincinnati before he got into his contract squabble there. I would expect somebody to come up with him, and I don't know if the price has fallen or what, but he's still available, and there are teams that need that. I think Buffalo is a team that needs a guy like him.
Yeah, they're probably going to lose Joey Bosa in free agency. I don't think he signed today either. Yeah, I thought the biggest deal of the day in terms of how it affects a team's outlook was Mike Evans going to San Francisco. Mike Evans is a wide receiver in his 30s, but I think he's a Hall of Fame wide receiver. I think he's a guy that can defy the odds a little bit because of his body type. And I could see him still being a very effective player. And we know that that's a great offense. And if George Kittle can come back from that injury he had in the playoffs against Philly, McCaffrey, Kittle, Evans, in a Kyle Shanahan system.
Jennings is still not signed,
to me, that makes the 49ers.
Right?
Yeah, Jennings is not signed. But that's an upgrade, in my opinion, to go from an Ayuk as a free agent. So we'll see what happens there with those two guys, Bob.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting. Evans, that's a lot of money, though, for a guy who's 12 years in the league at $60 million over 3 years. But he's a very productive player and always has been. We got to go to a break. We'll come back right here on the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Calls. Thanks for staying with us tonight. All right, welcome back. We continue right here with the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call. Robert Morris is leading Detroit Mercy right now at halftime of their game, 36-33. If they win, they'll take on Wright State, who won earlier. And Andrew, Wright State lost to Robert Morris twice this year. So it could be a nice matchup for the Colonials, who may be going on dancing 2 years in a row now.
Yeah, there's been some upsets in these conference tournaments. So if they were to win, I think their seed would actually not be that bad. And they might be in a situation, Bob, where they could pull off a stunner in the first round and not be cannon fodder for one of these top seeds like we saw the last year in the tournament.
I don't know about you, but I'm really excited to see the A10 tournament come to Pittsburgh. Duquesne plays on Thursday at 5 o'clock. They got a team I think they can beat.
Will you be there? Lisa's a proud Duquesne alum. She's got to go support her Dukes.
I always tell Lisa. She's got to get out there. You got to get out there, Lisa.
They're
She's
playing
listening,
Rhode Island and Archie Miller.
That's right. I look forward to it. I think it's going to be a fun tournament. The A10 always delivers some really good basketball, and the championship game will be on 1 o'clock. It's one of the last games before the selection show on Monday night, which you'll see on KDKA. Pony, thanks. As always, appreciate it.
You're the best, Bob. Goodbye.
You're the best, too. Thank you for joining us, everyone. We'll do it again tomorrow night, 10:35. I'm sure we'll have more news. The Penguins play tomorrow against Carolina. Very big start to their road trip. We'll talk about it tomorrow at 10:35 tonight.